Hey, this is Steven from the Green Engineers, and welcome to my update video. My last update video was 8/20/18. That was more of like a audio blog, I guess, talking about some of the things that were coming up. So I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of how those things have developed from since then till now. So that was 8/20/18. Today is 9/9/18. So basically a whole bunch, pretty much all the things that I was talking about in that video have since kind of happened. I guess you could say, kind of been finalized. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys an update on that. So I'm going to go through here talking about here in the description from this last video, the update 8/20/18, and talk about kind of what happened there. So here it says talking about the new tech shop. Go ahead and close this out. Talking about the new quote-unquote tech shop, senior year at university, senior projects, current projects, and the new tool I'm building. So I'm going to go ahead and update you guys on those subjects because those have since really kind of materialized and have been finalized. So number one subject here is Tech Shop. So Tech Shop has been now it's called the Shop.build. It was opened about 3 weeks ago. I think it was the week before. I think it was the weekend that I shot the 8/20 video. I think it was that weekend, and I've been there a few times before it opened, and I've been there a whole bunch of times after it opened. It is building. They're putting it together at a very, very strenuous pace. We are getting more machines every 2 weeks or so, and it's looking really, really good. So at the launch, we had. Let me write down when 30 minutes is done here, so I can make sure that I keep the video as short as I can. So in the first day that it was opened, we had the shop bot. We had no dust collection, so pretty much only thing that was being used was the shop bot. We had planers and drum sanders, and we also had a table saw, but nothing had nothing had dust collection on it, so we didn't use any of that. There was drywall and stuff, broken drywall sitting all over the place from beaten down walls or whatever, and there was nails and stuff all over the place, and things were being moved around the shop all the time. So now, and then we had a Tormach, and we had a whole bunch of benders and stuff and shears laying all over the place. So now that has been definitely massaged out. Now 4 weeks in, we've gotten 2 new machines, and hopefully by the end of this month I'll have, because I want it to develop a little bit more before I give you guys a shop tour. So we got 2 new tools. We got a CNC lathe with no live tooling or tool change or anything like that, but still a major upgrade from what we had at the previous tech shop. This machine is brand new, just right off the back of the truck, and it's brand new. It's gorgeous. It's heavy duty lathe, really, really heavy lathe. High RPM. I think it's like a 10,000. It's like a 10,000 RPM spindle or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but somewhere around there. Big chuck. Big saddle, big tool post, big, I forgot what that one's called. I guess it's tailstock, big old tailstock, really nice ways, and it has a little, the drives for it are, none of them are connected physically. They are just controlling the motors to go in and out. So you can do it either CNC or manual by moving these guys, but it's going to be precise movement because you're working on these motors, and then it has a joystick, and the joystick will either run the cross feed or the regular feed as well. So super excited to be using that. Big project coming up that we're going to use that is be talking about it a little bit. And then we also got a brand new manual mill that is the same way. It could be used manually or as a CNC. It has a CNC controller, and it also has motors for X, Y, and then we're also going to get a Z for the quill or the knee. So it's going to have all be CNC controlled, and also it has a pneumatic PDB power drawbar. So it's a really, really nice mill. Again, brand new. I think there's only been 2 members that have used it since then, since it was put in, and it's working absolutely amazing, especially with the power drawbar. That's really nice. And then we still have the Tormach. Tormach's beat up, but I made a part for work a few days back, and it came out really, really nice. We just got the back ballroom, which is a giant room for all our storage. So basically what's happening is that there's 2 companies there. We're kind of coming in, and there used to be a solar company that used to do R&D in this building, and this building's like a 50,000 square foot building, single story, so it's huge parking lot and stuff. So they were doing R&D for solar panels. They're moving out of there and moving to Arizona, so they're finishing up one project that they all of a sudden got a contract for. So they're finishing up that project, and as they finish up each part of the project, they're moving out and we're kind of moving in. So the ballroom they just let us have, so now we have the ballroom back. So that's where all the cages are going to be. Just like I had at the previous tech shop, where I could have kind of this office, quote unquote, a 5x11 office, 5 foot by 11. But they want like $600 a month for that. So I do not know if I will go for that because now at my work I am part-time, so I don't really have the income. That's basically really close to most of my monthly income. So that'll pretty much take everything, and then I can't really fund the rest of these projects. So we'll see if that happens. I would like to do that, so we will see if I can make that happen. So eventually they're trying to get again to make the shredder, they're trying to get a giant fiber laser in order to cut through steel and aluminum, really thick steel and aluminum. I don't know when that's going to happen. We currently do not have a CNC plasma cutter either. We just got some welding tables. We just got the oven. We got a powder coating oven to work. They got the dust collection to work. Everything's got dust collection on the Shop.build. So everything is progressing really, really well. I'm super excited. Now we have like 30 printers. We have like 30 3D printers in there that are all looking very, very promising. It would be cool maybe to partner with these guys and maybe do some work there, and then have that pay for my office, but I don't know, because I'm working somewhere else right now. I do want to help these guys out, and we'll see if I can make that happen by having an office there, and also maybe store my project car there and kind of get everything out of the house right now, which is where I've been working out of since Tech Shop went under and I lost all the access to my tools. Now I have access to tools again. So that is basically what the Shop.build, its current status is looking really, really good, looking very, very promising. As of right now, I can use it for a lot of my projects, and I'm definitely going to be leveraging it more in the future, as I am currently paying monthly membership, and might be paying also monthly access for the cage. But again, $600 plus my $150 membership, that's $750. That's a pretty big hit on my monthly income, which right now I'm part-time because I'm in school. So that's the first one there. That's the first check about talking about the new quote-unquote tech shop, which is now called the Shop.build. Second part, senior year at university, and that's where a lot of the development came in. So again, on the table, like I said, I had the main thing about senior year at university for a mechanical engineer is senior project. So I had 4 options. I had one at my work was going to sponsor, but they had to be current employees as well as seniors in mechanical engineering at San Jose State, and that wasn't going to happen because there was very few and they already had projects. Number 2 was with a supplier for my work with one of the mechanical engineer seniors that were intern at my work. That recently right before I needed to figure out a project fell through. Third option was to join one of the few dozen projects that were already getting funding for at the university as well. Um, and the last one, which is the one that I went with because now the proposal has been submitted and signed, is the one that I was actually looking the most forward to. What's happening now is that we're going to be doing a green engineers project for senior year, and I have a team for that. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building the second version of my extruder. So again, there was a few options in the 820 video, 82018, which was either a consumer grade filament maker or industrial grade filament maker, a consumer grade shredder, which I'm already working on, or an industrial grade shredder, which I never did work on, or we have an industrial grade printer or a consumer grade printer, which I've worked on a consumer grade but not an industrial grade. I decided to work on a consumer grade filament maker version 2, known as the Fill Factory. So I was able to get together a team of 6 of my peers, including myself, so 5 other peers, and now we're going to be working on that project. We are the first few weeks in, and we already have a few things completed. I might show you the timeline for that guy. I'm using a software called Monday.com. It's a little expensive right now for 10 members. I might change to something else because right now I'm paying $60 a month for that, and I really don't know yet if it's really going to add that much value. So I will I may or may not close that, but I can possibly show you that timeline. So basically what we're doing is we're making a consumer grade high performance version of the multi-extruder, something that's easy to make, that we can make thousands of. Me and that group are going to be doing all the designing, and then basically the deliverables are by May, the end of, when I graduate, basically by May of next year, we will have a working prototype, a running prototype that meets all the specs that we want to go for, and everything checks out. Then we're going to be on making a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo / or Kickstarter. And then we're going to have while we're doing that, we're going to finalize and build a manufacturing prototype to basically copy a whole bunch of times. And so that is the idea. And then after May, that summer, we will run the campaign, and those guys will help me build it, or they will move forward with their lives post graduation, because we're all seniors. So that is basically what that looks like. Again, it's basically a very, very nice tuned model of the multi-extruder. A few things streamlined. Things that don't need to be very complex are streamlined. Things that need to be more complex are machined. So a few more machined parts, a few parts more simplified, a few more plastic parts, better aesthetic. Probably more expensive, probably definitely going to be more expensive, more technology, better code, and more precision on thickness of diameter and performance as far as speed of production of filament. So a whole bunch of things are going into that. I will try to share with you as many details of that as it goes along. I will try to show you some images of some of the CAD on that guy. I might have time, I might not. I'm not sure. So that is what's happening senior year. So at the end of this year, we're going to have another green engineering project green engineers project finished for sure. And I'm also going to be continually working on my other projects in parallel. So we'll have a new project to take to market, and also I will be working on getting these other projects fleshed out and to the people that I owe them to. So that is the senior project. Current projects. So I'm still working on the multi-shooter to fulfill the international orders of the spooler. I have hit a roadblock with the what is it called? The spooling part. So I fixed this. I did the spooling part. Spooling part looks really good. Problem I'm having issues with now is the winding part. So basically the winder needs to be synced with the RPM of the spooler. So every time the spool completes an RPM, the winder needs to propagate a certain distance, which is basically the distance of the wire that you're forming. So originally I was going to kind of go with the Lyman project where they used a screw and they just kind of had a belt, and it was really cool mechanism because it would with one direction of rotation of a pulley, it would have two directions of linear motion. So it'd turn rotation, single direction rotation, into two directional linear, which is pretty crazy. But it had a lot of machining involved and a lot of that kind of stuff. But the problem with that is that if somebody wanted to do a 3mm filament, you would have to reprint this screw that moves this thing back and forth, because the screw is designed to progress a certain distance in one rotation. So obviously if you use 3mm versus 1.75, you're going to have to progress more for the 3mm than you do with the 1.75. Or if somebody wants a custom filament, they would have to design their own screw or ask you to design their own screw, so I don't really like that idea too much. So what I'm going to have it probably run off of is a servo motor to run that. So that I'm still working on. That is the last roadblock I have in order to get to designing the firmware. So I did spend quite a bit of time trying to figure that out. I also consulted some of my mechanical engineering buddies at work, co-workers that have been doing this stuff for 20, 30 years. And they kind of helped me out figuring out this idea that it's better off having a dynamic of motor. So basically I'm going to have a servo motor and an RPM, a Hall effect sensor with magnets that are triggered by magnets on that guy. So every time that pulley makes a rotation, I know it has been completed, and I could indent over my winder. So that way, if you have different diameter filaments, it will adjust according to that diameter filament. To every RPM, it will go over that much. So that's the last thing that's holding me away from working on the firmware and finishing that up. And a lot of that firmware is going to be used for the what is it called? The Fill Factory, which is my senior project. And I will continually update that. I definitely am thinking about pursuing making the multi-shooter an open source project for precious plastics or something. So that's one project. Second project is the EcoBase, let's say. Well, the second project is the shredder, so I'm going to talk about that at the end because that has to do with the new tool. So next one is EcoBase 3D printer. So that guy currently now at the shop, Shop.build, I forgot to mention that they have 4 lasers in shop. They have a Tortec, I think it's called, which is basically a high precision CO2 laser that now has a 120 or an 80 watt, it's either an 80 or 120 watt CO2 laser. And that's for high precision engraving. So they have that guy. They have this new Chinese laser that's got a big bed on it, and that's for cutting. But the problem is when it was shipped, it had warped out rails, so it tended to lose focus and it would lose laser focus and also lose precision in certain parts of the travel. And then we have a universal, which are one of the easier ones to work with, and then we have an Epilogue Fusion, which the universal I believe is a 60 watt big bed The Epilogue Fusion is 260 watts that are shining into one point to make 120 watts. Now those machines are currently working. They are hooked up to exhaust, so they are all ready to be used. The Trotec does have a surcharge for per amount of time that you use it or whatever. The rest of them do not. So those guys are ready to be used to prototype these the stuff for the eco-based 3D printer, which I do still have the parts cut out for it, and I do still have my 2 sheets of bamboo plywood inside the shop at school, which now, if I need be, I could get it into the Shop.build. So that's basically what I have going on for that guy. So that guy, I need to finish the enclosure and then build one, and then kind of adjust the stuff, and then send out a whole bunch to people to check out, and also send some to some YouTubers to get some hype going, and then build a Kickstarter for that and go with that. I don't know if I'll be doing that this winter or if that will be after the filament maker. I think that one might be coming up faster than the filament maker, because the filament maker, we have to do the filament maker as well as all the stuff that's needed for school. But right now, obviously, the filament maker version 2, the Fill Factory, is the most important project, because these 5 other people, including myself, these 5 other people, and then with myself, 6 people, all of our grades are dependent on the performance that I have in this class in keeping this project together. Finally, so we have multi-shooter, we have the Fill Factory, we have the eco-based 3D printer, and finally we have the shredder. So the shredder goes with the last point here, which is the new tool. So the new tool, as you saw in the update after 820, the only video that's between this one that I'm going to be uploading soon, or as soon as I'm done, I'm going to upload this one. And so right here, so this is 820, this is my one update. Here's my spooling module, and then 820, and then my personal water jet. So basically, for the reclaimer, which is my personal home shredder for people to purchase, basically went on hold after Tech Shop went under, because I did not have any tools to build it, and I could not build it for the price point that I believed it was worth. I did a whole bunch of investigation for one of the people that pre-ordered the tool, that I now couldn't fulfill because I didn't have anything to cut it, and even at Tech Shop, everything was beat up. That the stuff that I had access to that I thought was going to be able to cut it was never able to cut it. He was inquiring about getting it done elsewhere, and I found out that it was going to cost something like $400 to $500 to do it. And $400 to $500, I think, is way out of the price range for what I think this size of a shredder is worth. I think the maximum is $225, $250 is what I think this thing is worth. And you see here that I have it. I need to take it down because I have not got a way of building it yet. When I have a chance, I'll be able to drop this thing off. But right now, I'll probably just have it on there. I mean, I'm getting really, really close, and the Shop.build's getting really, really close to have something to build it. So the tool that I'm working on is a personal water jet. So it's a small 2-foot by 2-foot table water jet, and as you see in that video, I have the pump purchased and I have received it. It is from a custom pump from China. It does 30,000 psi, and it's kind of a copy of another machine, but yet it has a lower flow rate. It's a pneumatic pump, so it uses shop air out of a compressor, which the Shop.build has a giant industrial grade compressor out in the back, so it will definitely be able to handle that. So that guy will do 30,000 psi, and I hope, and I'm shooting for that it works even better than the Wazer, which is the personal water jet that it was released on Kickstarter and got like $2 million worth of funding. So hopefully, and I think it will do way better than that. And also, I'm kind of modeling it off of another water jet that just hit the market from a company called Omax, and those are really nice ones as well. Those are $20,000 water jet, and this one I'm trying to build for about $2,000. Pump itself costs about $1,200 as of right now. So I am still working on it. I have been slacking and have not yet bought the cutting head, which I need to just go and do. I've been super backed up with school. I have talked to those guys once or twice, the guys that sell the cutting head that I'm going to use at AccuStream. So I kind of talked to them a little bit and asked them some pointers and stuff, and got a little bit more guidance on what to do to go forward. So a few things that are going to be needed for this guy, as I have 4 more minutes, so it looks like we're not going to go into the fill factory. When we do some more development, probably by winter or sometime in between now and winter, which is February, December 20th, somewhere around there, I should have another video on this guy of all the development, because by then we should have a functional prototype and the design finished. So we'll have 2 videos of the finished design of what it looks like, and then also the functional prototype working. Also on the way, if we finish anything kind of like the spooler, I'll have an update on that. So be looking out for that whenever I finish some stuff with the team, and then maybe I'll even have some presentations, some of the presentations that we do about the machine, have that presented as well. Which we have our first oral presentation for the class the 26th, which is 17 days from now. So a few things I need for this guy. I need the cutting head. I need kind of a manifold that has 2 tubes that come here, and then one the water line goes in here, and then the 2 tubes come out, and then the 2 high pressure tubes come out and connect as well in stainless steel tubes. Then I need a flexible section about 6 inches long, and then I need another stainless steel section to go into the cutting head itself. And then I need basically a movement head to kind of do the rest. I need a gantry system with a gerbil controller to run the G-code that Fusion posts, and also some way of moving up and dropping the head of the cutter to perform the cut. And then I need something on the probably the pneumatic side to just cut the pneumatics whenever I want to stop. So that way I can stop the cut. Because normally what they do is they'll have a valve on the high pressure side, but those are very, very expensive to close all the way shut. While just a regular 80 psi, so you either you could buy a 30,000 psi valve, or what I'm thinking is just using an 80 psi valve, so a 30,000 psi valve for water, or I could use a 80 psi valve for air, and just whenever I want to turn on the jet, just open and close the valve that lets air into this hole right here to power this pneumatic pump. So I need to do that so I can give you guys another update video on that. That is the main thing that hasn't changed between now and this last video, is that. And also the multi-shooter, again, I am working on the winder, so also that hasn't changed much. Since then, I have got a few extra parts of different magnets, and I have done development on it. Not a big enough development to post an update video on it. So hopefully next update video I will have this guy being finished here pretty soon, or at least the parts. I will have the winder finished, and then I'll start working on the firmware to finish the spooling module. And then the final part is some updates on the EcoBase as well as the fill factory. Alright, so we're at 30 minutes. I would like to thank you guys for following along in this, I guess, video, which is kind of like a still version of my website. I should probably just put a logo on top, but I'll just leave my website there. There's my logo there. And hopefully you'll be seeing seeing something else from me within the next week or two. I'm going to try to update as much as I can, at least every 2 weeks. As of right now, as far as what this says, I am within at least every 2 weeks. Let's see when this one went up. This was 23rd. So yeah, about 2 weeks. Sorry, 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. Yeah, it's 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks. I hope every 2 to 3 weeks. I hope to have an update. That's how much development I want to be doing. That will keep me on track. So those are the things to be looking out for. A update on the personal water jet, the winder for the multi-shooter, some Phila factory updated stuff, and some stuff showing the walls of the eco base that I finished a long time ago, and then also shop tour, and a whole bunch of stuff are coming up. Alright guys, so this has been Steven from the Green Engineers. I thank you guys for listening and watching in some periods, and I will talk to you guys in the next update video, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Peace.